Ye- Ha ha ha. Yes.
The monster is alive.
Welcome, one and all, to Obscure Ballers. I'm Tomas Moran.
I'm Sid Sivaraman. We are ecstatic to have you on tonight for what is the premiere episode for WIR Sports' new quarterly for the fall sports block show, in which we dive deep into the darkest, deepest, most obscure and niche depths of sports to find the gems in the rough.
Yeah, I mean, it's really all about, delving into those crevices, going into the deep, dark depths of your sports knowledge. So, this will be the fall sports block show. So, we'll be on every Sunday from 7 to 7:30 from now up until December. Tonight, though, we have a special episode from 7 to 8. So, we have a full hour. And we are here with two distinguished guests. We have sports voice producer Pierson Strandquist and Mintesinot Sturm, who's joined us. He will join us for a special deep dive in a bit.
Into some old school Minnesota Timberwolves lore that has some recently come back into the fray, thanks to a very fun scandal happening with the Clippers right now. But before we get to that, we have a lot to get through. We have a great programs here for you today. We have been posting and building up the brand over the summer with obscure ballers posts semi-weekly. We had a little hiatus in July, all in preparation for this, which is our show. Again, running every 7 to 7:30 every Sunday. We're planning to have one or two guests from the station on every week to kind of help them shine in those areas that they are specialists in. I feel like we all have those areas that we are very much obsessed with. For me, that was wrestling in the winter. And you don't really get many opportunities to talk about wrestling on a sports show, but this show is exactly for that. So, without further ado, let's get into our first segment, Obscure Ballers of the Week.
Yeah, so every show is going to be split up typically into about 3 segments. Today we're going to have 4 since we have the extra time. But the first segment will always be the Obscure Baller of the Week. So everyone gets a chance to kind of highlight, someone that's relatively unknown in sports. And it could be anyone. It could be a player, a coach, a referee, anyone involved with sports in any way, shape, or form who somehow made a name for themselves this week. So we'll go ahead and, if our guests want to kind of hop on the mic for the first time, you can go ahead.
You want to go first, or should I use this one?
Hello, my name is Mintesinot Sturm. I am joining the show today to, as Sid said earlier, to speak about some Minnesota Timberwolves stories that connect to Los Angeles Clippers' recent scandal. I'm very excited to join the show. I hope to perhaps be a more frequent fixture of the show with
Happy
you
to
guys.
have you, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to be here.
I'm also very happy to be here. Obviously, I'm a regular at this point on the Sports Block, hosting the show that theoretically will be after this. Although we have been having some tech issues all around throughout the Sports Block today, so that is pending. But either way, I'm super hyped that at a minimum I'll get to be on the inaugural full episode of Obscure Ballers, because I think one piece of obscure ball knowledge is, of course, the Sportsathon Obscure Ballers, which was a very fun time. And so I guess I'm 2 for 2 in Obscure Ballers episodes, which I'm pretty happy about.
Yeah.
A veteran already.
Yeah, love to hear it for myself.
And when they talk about, this is maybe meta commentary here, the obscure ballers of obscure ballers, it's gonna be the guests.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's true.
Those few guests that made the biggest impact, right? And maybe Tomas and I's name is on the show, but really it's those guests, just like the obscure ballers in sports, that make things so enjoyable for us.
Yeah. So with those obscure ballers of the week, I think I can get us started off. So you may or may not know that right now is a FIFA window. And a FIFA window is essentially a weekend from about Thursday to Tuesday usually, where you will have games happening across the world, right? So the different national teams, they'll play against other national teams. It could be World Cup qualifying, it could be friendlies, whatever that looks like. And right now there's CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. So CONCACAF is North America, Central America, and the Caribbean. Now this is a very special iteration for CONCACAF because not only is there an expanded World Cup coming up this summer, which is being hosted in North America by the US, Mexico, and Canada, but there are so many extra spots, again, not just because of the expanded version, but also because the US, Mexico, and Canada are automatically qualifying, right? And those are the three teams that qualified from CONCACAF for Qatar 2022. So plenty of, along with Costa Rica, I should add. So tons of opportunities, right, to make it to the World Cup. There are three groups of four, and each group, the number one team, will make it directly to the World Cup. And then there's also some other spots left for the intercontinental playoff. But we'll focus on that automatic ticket to the World Cup next summer because there was a very, very big game that happened for El Salvador. They're in Group A with Panama, Suriname, and Guatemala.
All titans of the world of soccer.
Absolutely. I mean, Panama definitely the favorite in that group, right? Panama team that's beat the U.S. now multiple times in recent history.
Shout out Christian Martinez, former Columbus Crew player who somehow is still relevant and still starting and beating the United States, which is kind of embarrassing. But you know,
You'll be hearing
what
a
you
lot
have to
about
do.
you'll be hearing a lot about the Columbus
A
Crew.
lot of grievances will be aired about
but
the U.S.
I want to
national team.
highlight one obscure baller on the El Salvadorian national
Okay,
team.
before you say something, I think we might have picked the same player.
Really? Oh, I could
Oh.
I could see how that I could
Okay.
see how that would
So
happen.
I don't want to say for sure. I don't want to spoil it, but is this person someone who might be local in a certain way?
Yes. Yes.
Okay,
It
well,
is. It is. It is. It
Great
is.
minds, I think.
okay,
Great minds,
potentially someone who plays for Chicago Fire's second team.
Some say that he does have
Maybe
one first team appearance.
maybe with the initials H
Ho.
O.
Ho.
Wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So
Okay, well, I mean, I'll let you go ahead.
Unreal coordination here.
yeah, I mean,
To
that's
be
what you
fair,
get.
I didn't know what you were gonna like. What you picked wasn't on the rundown. I don't think.
No, I don't believe so.
So this is
No.
just
Yeah.
telepathic.
No. Yeah. It's just Chicago Minds, Chicago
Uh-huh.
Minds, Chicago Sports. It is Harold Osorio. It's Harold Osorio. So he scored the 79th minute winner for the El Salvadorians away at Guatemala, which is huge. Like playing away in World Cup qualifying, especially in CONCACAF, is no easy feat. And Panama tied Suriname. So right now, El Salvador is first place in that group. Still more games to go, but a little bit on Harold Osorio. So he plays for the Chicago Fire, as Pierson alluded to, but he actually plays mainly for the Chicago Fire too. He has one appearance for the first team in the MLS, but he usually plays for the Chicago Fire 2 of the MLS Next Pro. And yeah, Pierson, I mean, if you want to add anything else about him.
I mean, I think one thing for sure. I mean, the contextually for this game, not only did they win to get the top of the group, but they beat a Guatemala team that made it to the semifinals recently of
the Gold Cup.
the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, already that's a huge accomplishment to beat a team that clearly is talented. But for this guy, I mean, like you said, only one appearance for the Chicago Fire actual team. But what I will say is, after he scored that goal, the Chicago Fire main socials were posting about this guy. This guy made it big time, and so I think that is important to point out that I think maybe this could help elevate him to the first team. I don't know for sure, but the Chicago Fire, Greg Berhalter is their head coach, and he's someone who has a lot of experience with international soccer, especially within CONCACAF. Obviously, he's the former United States national team coach. And so, I mean, we'll see what happens, but they definitely, MLS as a whole loves to treat their international call ups well. So I would not be surprised to see this guy potentially break into the first team at some point soon.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's Harold Osorio for you, an obscure baller of the week, and then Sid.
He won't be very obscure when he scores against the United States men's national team in World Cup
In the World Cup.
qualifying for like 2030, and it means that the U.S. doesn't
Doesn't make
qualify
it,
for
yeah.
2030.
We'll have more US 17
Yeah.
minutes
Well,
later on that. Later
we'll tell you when it happens. Remember this moment and that we called it. Okay. So my obscure baller of the week is kind of an elephant in the room for Northwestern sports right now. It's the little boy from Batavia, maybe the big boy from
Yeah,
Batavia.
some say.
Yeah,
Some say.
Ryan Bowe, the redshirt freshman quarterback who came into Northwestern's blowout win against FCS school, but still, it's a blowout win for Northwestern. A blowout win against Western Illinois that they won 42-7. Big, huge stiff arm from the redshirt freshman to go in from the score. And something I think that people might have missed, or that I picked up, or that I saw on Twitter, like in the reactions, the replies to all of these videos of Ryan Bowe's stiff arm here, is that there's a guy, shout out Said J, I think is how you pronounce it, photos. He shoots, I think he's a Batavia High School alum, but he, I guess, shot photos of Ryan Bowe when he was at high school in Batavia. And he goes, they didn't know. And there's a photo, and I guess if we might clip this or look up Said J photos, there's a photo of Ryan Bowe stiff arming another guy at Batavia. So maybe, and I don't know if Ryan Bowe was thinking this when he went into his basically Wildcat debut, but he was probably looking for a stiff arm when he went in. Like, this might be a character trait that we're gonna see in future years at Northwestern from a backup quarterback that might not see a ton of time, but that is one fun player trait to have in a guy that doesn't show up that often. You know, like, I feel like a stiff arm Marshawn Lynch style is fun when he's like a starter, right? But if you throw in a backup quarterback and for 2 plays the guy just stiff arms a dude, like, that is fun, that is action, and that is exactly the kind of obscure baller content that I'm looking for.
And you mentioned Batavia. I'll just add a little bit of Duquesne Conference lore here. If you're familiar with the Duquesne, it's a conference, a high school sports conference, 8 schools over in DuPage and King counties, including my former Wheaton Warrenville South Tigers. And senior year, back in 2023, we were playing the Batavia Bulldogs for our senior night. And I was on the call for that game, and Batavia's starting quarterback was no other than Ryan Bowe. And let me tell you, that guy has an arm. He has an arm. He was really impressive. The Bulldogs took the Tigers down 28-14, but it wasn't that close. It was garbage time points. In reality, Batavia really knocked us down. And I even recall on the call saying, like, yeah, Ryan Bowe committed to Northwestern. We'll see what he has today, D1 talent. And yeah, I mean, I think, as a redshirt freshman, the sky's the limit for him. He won't start over Preston Stone. I don't think anyone expects this year. But definitely, I think he's around for a while.
Yeah, and I
Uh,
think this is something, Ryan Bowe got like very little playing time last season. He did get like a tiny bit against Illinois when, it was a blowout, and I think maybe Ohio State too. I know for sure Illinois game where it was a blowout. Jack Losh wasn't really doing much, so he just gave the ball to Ryan Bowe. And I will say he did not look that inspiring, but also, I mean, he probably wasn't expecting to play in that game. So I think that's totally fair. And to come in here and announce yourself at that stage, yes, it's against West Illinois. I don't care. I mean, one, that DB will never live that down for the rest of his life, as you guys alluded to. But
By the way, I think he was a graduate student too.
yeah, so like,
Okay.
yeah, clearly Ryan Bowe hit the weight room in some way. One thing I will point out, and I was seeing this on social media a little bit after this play, was about how his like ratings on College Football 26, the EA
Yeah.
Sports game, were like weirdly like he's only 66 overall, but they were weirdly good for like ball carrying besides stiff arm, which is kind of
Huh.
interesting. So I think maybe, just maybe, they'll change that a little bit. But he has very high agility, very high toughness, strength, things that do matter for a running back. So very interesting. I don't know how those like ratings are calculated, but it is pretty interesting, and I wouldn't be surprised maybe to see him get an upgrade in the stiff arm category after this one.
yeah, I mean, that was just a monstrous
Yeah,
play.
word to EA Sports, lock in.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
After the
Yeah.
no more college basketball game from
Uh-huh.
EA.
Yeah.
So
That was big news too, I
yeah,
guess.
that
Yeah.
was that was big
for
news.
sure.
But so we won't be seeing Nick Martinelli over
Yeah.
on the video game screens anytime soon. But that'll do it for our obscure ballers of the week. You can expect that every single week. We'll be coming up with finding the little tidbits around the sports world on a weekly basis. But we'll now move on to our second segment of the show, and this will be our second segment every single show. Except this time around, we'll be doing 2 of them. So there are obscure games. So these are fun little prompts that we'll come up with for our guests, and also we'll answer them ourselves. And the idea is to kind of, really sort of dig at a specific aspect of sports and find what stories come out of them. So we have 2 prompts for today, but normally we'll have 1. You want to go ahead
Yeah.
with the prompt?
So, over the last week, last Sunday, the Sounders of Seattle and MLS played Inter Miami, and there's a lot of hate against Inter Miami on MLS Twitter and MLS social media right now, particularly from fans who believe that, Messi has come into the league and brought all this hype with him and all of these fake fans from Miami, and they're ruining the beautiful game of MLS and American soccer and stuff like that. So, for a lot of MLS fans around the league, when Miami took on Seattle in the League's Cup final on Sunday, it was like Miami against the world. Everyone else was rooting for Seattle. And in the lead up to the game, Seattle actually did a really, really interesting promotion that I found pretty funny, where they basically said, if you have an Inter Miami Messi jersey, they allowed fans to exchange it for free for a um, Paul Rothrock Seattle Sounders jersey. Paul Rothrock is a homegrown player for Seattle, who is fine. He's a fine MLS player. He's okay, but obviously no Messi, one of the the greatest soccer player probably of all time. Basically inarguable. So in the lead up to the game, they had that promotion, and the Sounders coach Brian Schmetzer said in the media availability like 2 days before the game, he goes, they have Messi, they have Luis Suarez, they have Jordi Alba, they have Sergio Busquets, but we have Paul Rothrock. And it ended up paying dividends. Seattle beat Miami 3-0 with Paul Rothrock scoring the third goal for Seattle with an emphatic and crazy celebration. Packed Lumen Field going nuts. Even people in Inter Miami jerseys going nuts for this Paul Rothrock goal. So that has inspired the first segment for this week, titled They Have Messi, but We Have Paul Rothrock. So we want to ask you guys to think of a player who was relatively unknown, obscure, that came up and performed on a big stage against one of the greats in their sport, against a true legend in their sport. We're really excited to see what you guys have. Any sport, we try to have segments that are pretty universal that can apply, whether you're talking about water polo or you're talking about football.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and we'll throw it over to Pierson.
Okay. So just to be clear, this question is looking for someone who isn't a legend themselves, but did something legendary
Yes.
Against a legendary player.
against a
Or a legendary
opponent
team
in
or
any
a
way,
legendary coach or something like that.
Okay. So a lot of people on the station know my love, my infatuation for a certain baseball player by the name of Rafael Ortega, a former Chicago Cubs standout
Oh,
who
yeah.
did some pretty amazing things when he was here in Chicago. He played for 2 seasons only for the Cubs. He came in essentially as a bench piece in 2021 when, all the stars from the Chicago Cubs World Series team were there. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, all of whom would get traded. And then this guy went on the biggest tear of his entire life in the month of July and August after the trade deadline. He hit 3 home runs against the Nationals. He went in and hit a grand slam in the Crosstown Classic against Lance Lynn of the White Sox. But the thing that stood out to me, the Cardinals have a future Hall of Fame pitcher. There is a rivalry between the Cubs and Cardinals, as most people know. And it is not a nice one, but there's a certain pitcher by the name of Adam Wainwright, who is
Oh yeah.
should be a Hall of Famer. As much as I hate to admit it, he will be a Hall of Famer. And so he is someone who, for our Cardinals fans, as a playoff pitcher, as a pitcher in general, is someone who is very important to the game of baseball, and I'd be shocked if he didn't make the Hall of Fame. A little guy named Rafael Ortega went 3 for 4 in a game against the Cardinals. Granted, this is Adam Wainwright, but I still think this is valid.
Yeah.
Where
Messi's 38 accounts.
yes, exactly.
Absolutely.
So with that spirit, Rafael Ortega went 3 for 4 against Wainwright in his only career appearance against him, in which he hit he didn't hit a cycle, but he almost did. And so it, it was one where it was a very weird. I remember this. It was a very weird thing where Ortega he hit a ball against the wall that he hit it so hard line drive that it could have been a double, but instead it was a single because the player just got to it so quickly. So I think it was a single and a double. But I think he had the game winning hit in that game. And so I think that's what's important here. And so I think that a la Paul Rothrock, this is a guy who after that went to the White Sox, went to the Mets. I think batted maybe total like 120. Not very good in baseball terms, but he had his moment there in that 21 and 22 season. And I think that's worthy of choosing and bringing up.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. And as someone who was born in St. Louis, I was in St. Louis when they won the 2011 World Series. Granted, I was 5 years old. But yeah, Adam Wainwright. Back in the day, I was a Cards fan. I did watch them a lot. I think
can't
it's
abide
been
by
10 years
that.
in Ohio. It's been 10 years in Ohio. I
The
think you
Cards.
might have brought me to the other side of the rivalry, though.
Okay,
Yeah.
wait. So
Yeah, the
if
Cubbies.
okay, so you're saying you're a Cubs fan.
Well, on the Cubs Cards
Okay.
rivalry,
Do you
I think
have a baseball team?
I think I do.
Is it the Reds,
Eventually,
the Guardians?
it's Guardians. It's
Guardians.
Okay.
Guardians.
Yeah,
It's
that
it's
makes sense.
it's
That
like
makes sense.
because like 2016, like the World Series run, and still after that, like the Hosey days, and still, yeah, even to this
So
day, I
is
think I
it-
do
Last year's
definitely,
playoffs,
I
yeah.
definitely do follow the Guardians more than I do.
So is it mostly Cleveland sports for you, plus the Blue Jackets, plus the
The
Crew?
Crew. Of
Yeah,
course.
yeah. I think Cleveland sports more than Cincinnati
That
sports,
makes
generally
sense.
I
speaking.
feel like Cincinnati is culturally Kentucky too.
I also
Yeah,
yes,
It's
yes,
on the-
that's
on
for
the
sure.
Ohio
That's for
River.
sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, no,
also
that makes sense.
I think Cleveland sports are funnier. Like the Browns
Yeah.
are really funny.
That's
as
true.
a
They
as a
almost won
sports
today.
franchise.
They
Yeah.
almost won today.
Yeah, yeah.
That's true. That's true. That's true.
Almost is the motto of the
Key-
Cleveland Browns.
keyword.
But
tried.
yeah, the Browns are hilarious. The Guardians always. I mean, the Guardians and the Cavs too have, I think, more historical success than the Reds. Yeah, and they don't even have an NBA team. So, like, I think generally speaking, Cleveland and Columbus sports for me. Yeah.
On the topic of Cleveland sports,
Ooh.
so here's my pick for Paul Rothrock. If you are familiar at all with NBA lore from the mid 2000s, you will know the name Gilbert Arenas. All right,
course.
the man was a menace. Okay, and for 3 years in a row, from 2006 to 2008, the Cleveland Cavaliers took down Gilbert Arenas in the playoffs. Arenas was playing for the Washington Wizards. Now that first year, 2006. Okay, it was May 5th, 2006. Game 6 of Cavaliers versus Washington Wizards. This is a series where LeBron James averaged 35.7 points per game and Gilbert Arena averaged 34 points per game. Okay, those two guys were absolutely ripping it up. And it was a true rivalry, right? Between LeBron and Gilbert. I know Arenas maybe isn't as much of a recognizable name nowadays, but at the time
Well,
it was.
he was in the news for a certain
Well,
other thing recently.
Yes,
Oh,
yes, that's true. That is true.
Not the first
I'm-
time for him.
That is not the first time for him. Although this one was pretty. It was
I'm
like a
not
legal
familiar.
gambling
Gambling.
ring.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
so
like
like-
poker.
Yeah,
that's not.
Yeah,
So like, but it was like
it was illegal.
apparently
yeah,
it was like
like
they
he got
Oh.
arrested.
they were
for
in
it.
his. He was
Um,
like he has a
yeah.
mansion. I don't know where his mansion is, but he has a mansion somewhere. Maybe in DC area, DMV. I don't know. Either way, though, I mean,
Gilbert Arenas doing decidedly better than another NBA player.
but
from
this was like this was like this was full on casino. Like he had like
Yeah,
he had like
like a whole ring.
showgirls, he
Yeah,
had
no, it is- yeah.
waiters, everything.
And
I
it
don't
was
know how
illegal
you do. I mean, I guess that's a good business model until you get caught.
until you get caught. Yeah.
Not that I'm endorsing that.
so-
I'm not
no,
endorsing
absolutely
that.
not.
No,
Obscure
no,
Ballers
no.
does not endorse illegal
We do
gambling.
not condone illegal gambling. The
but-
Premier League actually absolutely does. Like, have you seen like the number of like illegal like underground betting syndicates that are sponsoring Premier League teams? It's
Not,
crazy.
hey, not my Chelsea.
Yeah,
They have
no.
nobody. They are actually champions of the anti
Yeah.
something, anti something.
Chelsea famously anti-corporate, anti-spending money in soccer.
Mhm.
Yes.
Slowly.
Yes.
But okay, so
Soundtrack.
it was Gilbert Arenas versus LeBron James, right? Clearly, clash of the titans, both of them averaging over 30 points per game. There are 14 seconds left in the game. All right, and the Wizards are up 113 to 112. Gilbert Arenas has 36 points Caron Butler has 20 rebounds, by the way, for the Wizards. Shout out Caron Butler. But this story is not about him. This story is about a player that hadn't even entered the game. He had 0 minutes and 0 seconds in this game when he stepped foot on the court, and this player is Damon Jones. I don't know how familiar you are with Damon Jones. He's known as Basketball Jones, the specialist, the best shooter in the world, at least according to Basketball Reference.
FB ref, like Basketball Reference nicknames. I'm sorry, like you.
Now, he really bounced around. He bounced around the league. He played for 11 teams in 11 years, including 2 years, or not actually 3 years for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And again, this is a man that had played 0 seconds in the game, literally hadn't touched a basketball all game long. Enters the game, gets the ball, left corner, just banks the game winner. Buzzer beater. The Cavaliers not only win the game, but win the series, right? I mean, this was a Cleveland team that really was carried by LeBron James, many would say, right? 06, really that whole era. And they end up making the finals that year, but they lose. Or no, excuse me, no, the Miami Heat won the chip that year. But those were the years where like LeBron was just like carrying the Cavaliers to the finals all on his own. And this one guy, Damon Jones, he just pops up out of nowhere from Galveston, Texas. Okay. Literally plays 0 minutes in the whole game. Now, granted, he did play.
Where they going, Chuck?
Now, granted, I'll give him credit where credit's due. He played all 82 games of that regular season. He just didn't start any of them, right? And he averaged 25 minutes a game. So he was like a solid, role player.
Yeah.
But in the whole game had 0 minutes, 0 seconds, and hits the buzzer beater to win the series over LeBron James, right? Like LeBron James doesn't take that shot. It was Damon
Yeah,
Butler.
so doing my best Max Kellerman impression. Game on the line. Martians have the death laser pointed at Earth. I got Damon Jones.
Give me Damon Jones. Give me Damon Jones. All right. I mean, his like box score is just funny for this game. It's like 14 seconds played, 1 field goal attempt, 1 field goal made, 100%, like 2 points, like plus minus, like +2. Like he literally just entered the game. Like in soccer, there's a saying where it's like oftentimes for a PK shootout, players will enter at the end of the game to kick a penalty. He entered the game to hit a buzzer beater. So just a wild one there. But that will do it for our Paul Rothrock. But
Whoa, wait, whoa. I
You
have
have a
one
note?
more.
Do you have a note?
I
You
have
have a
one
note?
more.
Go
And
ahead.
And
Minty
Minty
has
might have.
something to
Let's
say.
go. Okay. So I scoured. I had a lot of options that I wanted to choose from. I did not want to go with the soccer one, but I did not find one better than the one that I have, which is, and I have a friend from high school who's Bolivian. He's gonna love this, but Bolivia against Argentina, April Fool's Day 2009.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the legend in this situation is Diego Armando Maradona, but he's not playing for Argentina. He's on the sidelines. Now, this era of Diego Maradona coaching Argentina was like notoriously goofy because I mean, like, it was Maradona coaching Messi, and like I think, correct me if I'm wrong, Tomas, but like it kind of seemed like Maradona was like, what do you mean you can't like dribble through 5 guys and score? Like,
It was a big media fiasco.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
sure.
and so Argentina is traveling to La Paz, Bolivia, which is
Oh,
the highest national stadium in the world.
Well, and now they have a new one called El Alto, which is even higher.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, it's
insane.
gotten them better results than
Yes.
in the past. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's insane.
But when it comes to like the notoriety of playing at Bolivia, this game on April Fool's Day 2009 takes the cake. Bolivia plays against Messi and Diego Maradona's
Mhm.
Argentina and beats them 6-1.
Mhm.
All right? 6-1. And how, like, in what other setting in world sports is that possible other than an altitude where the other team is literally gasping for breath?
No, and
You
it's
know?
wild. Like you're 4,000 meters above sea level. Like people say it's a different sport. Like you
Mhm.
just can't breathe while you're playing. It's just
Yeah. So for no other reason than to shout out the Bolivian national team, I had to pick Bolivia 6-1 Argentina.
And Bolivia, unlike my beloved Peruvian national team, Bolivia is actually still alive. They have one more game to play on Tuesday in World Cup qualifying. It's between them and Venezuela, who's going to get that intercontinental
By,
playoff
by the
spot.
way, he is talking about FIFA World Cup qualifiers. The country of Peru is still
The nation as a whole is still alive, but the national team very much in the dumps.
They didn't get last.
No, Chile is last. I would
Yeah.
like to point that out.
Yeah.
Chile is last. Peru is not last. Thank you.
Yeah, Minty, do you have a pick for us?
Yeah, sorry. So I had one, but I was worried that it was maybe not obscure enough. So I have another one as well, but the first one, both actually have to do with LeBron James. The first one, LeBron James' teammate on the Los Angeles Lakers in 2023. In the Western Conference semifinals, the Golden State Warriors played the LA Lakers, and Steph Curry. This is Game 4. Steph Curry, 30-point triple double. He's going off. To be fair, inefficient 30 points, but who cares? You gotta let your star empty the clip when it matters, you know. Um, but Lonnie Walker, teammate of LeBron James. That's why I said LeBron's involved. He had 15 points in that game, and those 15 points all came in the fourth quarter to put the Lakers up 3-1 in the series, which they eventually won in 6. And during that fourth quarter, Lonnie Walker was constantly hunting Steph Curry on switches and in isolation and just bucket after bucket to put the Lakers ahead. And so there's not really like that much of a story there, but that was one of my picks. And my other pick was 2014 Michael Carter Williams, Rookie of the Year. That was also probably his best year. It kind of went downhill.
Nothing like a good
from
one
the
and
first
done.
few years.
Nothing like a good one and done. That should be a segment.
Yeah.
But
Think about that, yeah.
Michael
One-hit
Carter
wonder.
Williams played
WCW.
against the Miami Heat in 2013, October 30th. Played the Miami Heat. That was kind of the Heatles super team.
Yeah.
LeBron James, Chris Bosh, Dwayne Wade. They won championships. They were constantly going to the finals. Michael Carter Williams on the Philadelphia 76ers, who poverty for a while. They sucked.
Yes.
Yeah.
He led.
Trust the process.
He led the
Still do.
Sixers. Yeah. He led the Sixers to an upset against the defending champions. Or I don't know if they won in 2020. I don't really pay attention that much. I don't care. But he led them to an upset in that game with 22 points, I believe, 12 assists 12 assists, 7 rebounds, and 9 steals. So, I think that if his career had gone the way it should have, it wouldn't be as obscure. But
Season 2. You light my fire.
his
you
highest
light
points per
my
game
fire.
average was his rookie of the year campaign. And his last year in the NBA was 2022, 2023. He averaged 4.3 points per game. Yeah,
That's rough.
he had a lot of promise, but it didn't really follow through. But he'll always have that game against Miami, against LeBron James.
Unfortunately, with the Sixers, like it's kind of a trend, right? Like you think Markelle Fultz, you even think Ben Simmons, right, who was an All-Star,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then just
totally.
legend says that.
Hey, LeBron. Ben Simmons is here. Good. I think about that quote in every situation.
Legend says the Sixers are still trusting the process.
Hey, we're gonna we have a segment in the works for
But,
best sports quotes coming up.
yes.
Stay posted.
And to
stay
your point,
posted.
Tomas, hopefully that isn't what happens with their newest sensation. Unfortunately,
Tyrese Maxey.
no, the rookie last. Yeah. He had a tremendous rookie year campaign, and then unfortunately tore his meniscus. But I think it's gonna go well. The Sixers, the sun will shine bright someday. Promise.
And if I'm not mistaken, didn't Lonnie Walker play for the Sixers last season?
I think he might have. He played for a lot of teams. He's been kind of bouncing around. He is one player that I think like you'll see a lot of conversations on NBA Twitter, which I spend much too much time on.
The guy started about his
Where-
Timberwolves burner, man.
I don't have a Timberwolves burner. My account with my name is the only Twitter account I have.
yeah, for sure.
But he's an example of one of those players that people will see and they'll look at the counting stats and they'll just wonder why can't this guy get consistent minutes on a team? Like the team should be trying to get this guy in their rotation all the time. But him and I was thinking about this, like like they just the NBA just kind of moves on from players, and I think that's one of the like him and obviously like MCW and other guys like that. Like, they just kind of bounce around the league, even though they show they at least what the average fan might look at and think, yeah, that guy's good, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all talented. I mean,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
people
Yeah.
forget
You
like
need to be
the
incredibly
the
talented.
the worst, supposedly, like the worst in quotation.
Lance Scalabrini.
Like those types of guys, they'd cook
I'm closer
any.
to LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, he is.
He is
He is.
absolutely.
I
I
think he
mean, you
is.
guys have seen I remember it was going around like NBA social media for like a bit last year, like which like bench riding NBA slash G League player absolutely cooked you like on the court and made you realize that basketball wasn't for you. And like it was like Amon Shumpert and like a bunch of different guys. Like so yeah, I mean Minty, we already kind of got into a deep dive about the Sixers, surprisingly,
Yeah.
but we have a scheduled one about some recent controversy with the Clippers, going back to uh one hell of a poll from like the mid 2000s in Timberwolves lore. Take it away.
Yeah. So I don't know. Listeners might know about this recent scandal with the Los Angeles Clippers. An investigation by reporter Pablo Torre, who he works with all kinds of media companies. I know his podcast is licensed to the Athletic. Um, he uncovered this story with the like sustainability as a service company aspiration, which is actually recently filing for bankruptcy. That's part of the reason why the story was uncovered. Um, they in 2021 signed a $300 million endorsement deal with the Los Angeles Clippers. And in that same year, they signed a deal with Kawhi Leonard, who played for the Clippers, for $28 million. This company Aspiration, they got tens of millions in investments from people, the richest of the rich, including Steve Ballmer, owner of the Los Angeles Clippers. He invested $50 million. And actually, when I was researching this, he, in a way that's much different than what you'd normally expect, he paid more per share than the expected
Huh.
price that most people were paying. He paid $1 more, $11 per share, which is how his investment came out to 50 million. Usually, I guess these companies
Yeah,
they
like
lure the
set.
investors in by saying, "Oh, you don't have to pay as much per share," in order to just like guarantee that
But
that
that's like
investment.
sketchy that this guy's
But
investing more than
now he's
that.
investing more,
Yeah.
and the the player that that company signs a deal with is on the team that he owns.
Yeah.
Not to mention that the only thing Kawhi had to do in order to get this money was to be part of an employee of the Los Angeles Clippers. He did not have to do any sort
Yeah.
of
And like
interaction with the company. He didn't have to tweet out anything. I mean, Kawhi's not an internet person.
yeah, and
He
like if I
has no
remember
social
like
media
the other
presence, so I'm not
celebrities
surprised about that. But
the other celebrities, like if I remember correctly, that did sign sponsorship deals with this aspiration, did actually have to like
yeah,
do sponsorship stuff of like endorsements and stuff like
exactly.
that. But like Kawhi didn't like he didn't do anything. It
Yeah.
was like essentially under the table.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. And like the one example people could find was a Clippers happy birthday post about Kawhi. And they said like for every like happy birthday aspiration will plant one tree or whatever.
Huh.
Um and so anyway, that was uncovered and now the NBA is doing an investigation because I guess the idea is that by Steve Ballmer investing that money then going to Kawhi, that was a way to circumvent the NBA salary cap, which is a limit on how much a team can spend on their roster. And if you go over the salary cap, I mean, this might be kind of like old news for a lot of people. You pay a certain amount in a tax, a luxury tax per every dollar over the cap. And this is 2022 numbers. I know that there's a new collective bargaining agreement a few years ago, so these numbers might not be exact now, but from like up to 5 million above the tax line, you pay $1.50 per dollar in tax. 5 to 10 is 1.75. 10 to 15 is 250, $2.50 per dollar. And then 15 to 20 million is $3.25 per dollar. And then every additional 5 million above the tax line beyond 20 million, the fees increase by 50 cents per dollar.
But
But the part that matters more to me
this
in
event
this event,
reminded you of something
yes,
else that happened.
is that in So the NBA in 1998-99 season, there was a lockout. The owners, actually, this is important because of the salary cap that that aforementioned salary cap. Owners in the NBA, I guess they like to call them governors for the woke term.
All right.
Um,
Episode 1, folks.
Mintesinot
they
Sturm, ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen.
they really wanted more of like that salary cap feeling, that limit on how much could be spent, so that teams could, they wasn't just like, I guess, in baseball where they just throw however much money at a player, and they come but so there was a lockout for about half the season. The NBA All-Star game was canceled, among other things. But Joe Smith, who was a former number one pick by the Golden State Warriors, he, after becoming a free agent, after he was traded from the Warriors to the Sixers, he turned down a pretty lucrative contract extension from the Warriors. I guess he had disagreements with the team. And then he became a free agent after that 1 year with the Sixers, and he signed a tiny deal with the Minnesota Timberwolves for $1,750,000, so 1.75 million for 1 year.
Even in the 2000s of the NBA, that's like low.
This
right?
was
Yeah,
that's
that's
like
very low.
this was very little for a player of his caliber. At the time, he was pretty solid. I mean, obviously, former number one pick. He averaged like 20 and 10 at Maryland in his senior year.
Derek Queen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he so. Then,
Maryland.
after the point of this small contract was that he was allowing the Timberwolves to have the cap space to sign more veteran talent to surround Kevin Garnett, the big ticket, our guy. Um, but then an NBA investigation in a couple of years found that what had actually been the agreement was that Joe Smith and the Timberwolves would agree to 3 consecutive, very small contracts. I believe the next two were like 2.2 and then like $2.8 million around, so that the Timberwolves could acquire his bird rights, which is an NBA term that just means is once a player is part of an NBA team for 3 years at least, that team now can sign that player to a larger extension that goes over the salary cap but does not incur that luxury tax fee. Um, and so they did that with that goal in mind. So it was essentially the same thing as trying to circumvent the salary cap the Clippers are doing. They were discovered, and Wolves GM Kevin McHale, who former Boston Celtics Hall of Famer, 8 foot wingspan. That guy's got freakishly long arms. It's ridiculous. He was forced to take a leave of absence. Now former Wolves owner Glenn Taylor. Thank you, A Rod and Mark Lore. We're finally free from Glenn Taylor's shackles. Glenn Taylor was forced to. He was no longer allowed to be part of team operations for about a year and a half or so. The Wolves were fined $3.5 million, and they forfeited their next 5 first-round picks. Which, when you look at it from that time, Kevin Garnett's best years were with the Timberwolves at that point were kind of exactly those 5 years,
Right. Yeah.
and they trailed off. He left to go win a
Yeah.
championship,
Boston.
right?
Obviously.
Yeah.
His
2008.
his best year was like making the Western Conference Finals in 2004. Unfortunately, I think injuries. Was it Sam Cassell? I think got
I
hurt.
believe Sam Cassell got hurt.
Yes. Those really hampered our ability to be competitive that year. But the 5 consecutive years of not having first round picks, you can't really build a team through drafts. And when you're Minnesota Timberwolves, you can't really attract free agents
Yeah.
and stars to cold Minneapolis. I think it's great. I love Minneapolis and St. Paul. It's my hometown.
Mhm.
But it's not really the destination for
Free
the
agents
for the
necessarily.
And the Joe Smith effect did not
no.
really help
No.
that
No,
much.
no, it did not, and that was part of the reason why we were so destitute
No.
for nearly 2 decades. I will say though that the fact that we sucked for so long made it really nice once we stopped sucking. Uh, and these past couple years have been awesome, and I think, like, as they say, like, that joy of being good finally has been a great feeling. I will acknowledge that we made the playoffs in 2018, but that was Jimmy Butler led, and I don't like Jimmy Butler, so we're gonna pretend that didn't happen. We'll just say that we missed the playoffs for 20 straight years. So
And well, to give a kicker to the story, something I found when I was looking for a photo of Joe Smith to post on Instagram today was, and the photo is here of him laughing with I think, yeah, but it's a 2018 article from Minnesota Public Radio, and the headline is $60 million later, former Minnesota Timberwolves player is broke. So
Shameful.
Joe Smith now is apparently as of
As of
2018 says that he is now just as broke as the Minnesota Timberwolves were in terms of first round picks
Yeah.
for about 5 years after the whole thing.
A
So
lose-lose.
yeah,
Yeah.
worked out well for all parties.
Unfortunate all around. But there's your minty soda
Yeah.
Yeah,
deep
Oh,
dive there.
that's clever.
Yeah.
His name is almost an anagram.
It is
for
almost
it is,
for
yeah.
Minnesota.
perfect. Yeah.
But yeah, and then I will add really quickly. So we were gonna try to get to a couple of obscure games today, but we went with just the one because we were having so much fun
Yeah.
with our discussion. We had a Philadelphia deep dive in the end there. That was interesting. Because I mistakenly wanted was about to cut that short, but
Yeah.
there's
no.
always more obscure ballers we have to talk about and
For
let everyone
sure.
chip in. So we do have another segment that we're actually going to use next week. So we're
Mhm.
going to go ahead and use that next time. But before we do wrap up for today, Pierson, do you have a little deep dive that you'd like to hone in on?
Be completely honest, I do not.
Hey,
To be completely
hey,
honest,
hey.
to be completely honest, I was so focused on the production that I completely misunderstood the segment and assumed that it was a deep dive that we would all be talking about rather than one that I had to come up with.
Totally okay.
But that's okay.
Totally
You know what?
okay.
And
The
that-
next
you
time
know-
on the show, I will have such a deep dive.
Oh,
Um,
we're gonna
gonna be
have to
drowning.
We're gonna
have
be
to, like,
drowning.
We're gonna
Yeah.
be drowning in the
Pacific
dive.
Deep
We're gonna be
you know,
drowning in the dive.
and I think
Yeah.
I know exactly what it's going to be about too.
Really?
I
Okay,
think I can
okay.
I can think about it in my head. So
no, keep
okay,
it, keep
okay.
it,
Yeah.
keep us in the dark. You know, we'll.
Hey,
we'll
you know
cross
that's
that
a
bridge when we
good
get to it.
that's a good teaser.
You
And
know, for
by the
next
way,
future episodes.
I would like to shout out Pierson and Calvin. Calvin, if you're watching this, because they helped us out with the entire setup for this
Yeah.
broadcast, getting this all up on YouTube. So when the man says that he was, preoccupied with the setup of this broadcast,
And
he was working overtime.
We are unk when it comes to
the tech. We
I
try our
mean-
best. We try our best.
So-
Also, I would like to shout out some of the people in the comment section. We see you. We see you in the live chat.
Oh yeah.
Fisher was really excited about that
Yes.
Bolivia mention. I'll mention Travis Fulgham, Eagles legend, apparently, according to the
yes.
live chat. And Ginachi, yeah, Jeremy Lin, good pick.
Yes.
But yeah, so love to see the engagement over there in the chat. Yeah, really, Fisher's really excited.
You know, it's
Fisher's
the
pumped.
fans in these
That's
early days.
Sid's friend from
It's the fans in these early days that send us on our way to the ESPN show, to us pushing Pat McAfee onto the nightly Sports Center, where no one is watching him. You know, when we are the kings of the sports media landscape with obscure ballers garnering more views than any other sports radio show in the history of sports,
And millions
going
of
back to the
dollars
Greeks.
from all the ads plastered all over the screen.
and a multi-billion-dollar deal with Aspiration
Yes.
that none of us have to do anything for. You know, we
You
will
can say you were
remember
here.
you. We
You
will
can
remember
say you were here.
You know,
Um,
and you know, maybe you can get some of that Aspiration money too. I hear they pay really well, and it's not that much work. So with that,
yeah,
I think it's been a pretty good first episode. From
absolutely.
Us, you know?
I'm absolutely pumped. I mean, we have the entire
Yeah.
quarter to go.
And I don't know if this might be like a thing to pick up on, but like when Minty was talking earlier today, I think we should have like a sicko pull of the week for like a name that someone brought up in conversation that like we really appreciated.
it's fun.
Michael Carter Williams
That was a great
a
one.
good pull.
That was a great one.
good pull.
Known former attempted to get the #1 jersey in Chicago.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Which-
MCW on the Bulls.
in his,
I remember
in his
that.
one season of the Bulls.
Yeah.
It did not work out, and it honestly made him a villain here.
Yeah.
Especially considering that
Unfortunately.
was right after Derrick Rose.
Yeah, which now it'll
I
be
love
retired.
Derrick Rose. I love Derrick Rose.
Number one.
Hey, former Cleveland Cavalier.
This is true.
Yeah.
But that #1 jersey will be up in the rafters in the UC, which is very exciting. And we are very excited to bring you Obscure Ballers.
Derrick Rose, 50 ball, on the
With the
Utah Jazz
Timberwolves.
with the
That's-
Timberwolves.
that's true.
Game-saving block on Dante Exum, left corner. Dante Exum tried it. Derrick Rose said nah.
Dante Exum, the Australian, who's had some injury problems, but good defensive talent. But anyways,
There's a
there are
lot. There's
so
a lot
many.
of Australians with like Matisse Thybulle.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't know what's up with
Ben
their
Simmons was a
Ben
great
Simmons was a
defender.
great
Ben Simmons was a
defender.
great
He play
defender.
Canada every
Hey,
day.
the one person who's gonna
Andrew
break
Bogut?
that, I promise you, when Josh Giddey gets his 25 to 30
Oh,
million
boy.
dollars a year.
Oh boy, yeah. The Bulls are gonna throw an exorbitant amount of money at him for hitting that half court shot.
Listen,
against the
here's the thing.
Lakers.
It's almost like, we talk about bird rights. We've talked about, this exclusive bargaining. Josh Giddey has no one else to go. He has nowhere else to go. You have to sign with the Bulls, man. Listen, you're going to get, you might not get 35. You can get 20.
Oh, speaking, I know that Tomas, Bulls fan. Did you see that Vucevic? He was retiring.
Yes, he's retiring from international play.
That was
for
great.
international play
Were
for
you-
Montenegro, the
Yeah.
Montenegro
were you
national team.
excited when you thought maybe he was
You know,
retiring from-
If it wasn't for Vooch, I mean, who would even be playing center for us?
Yes, here's
Question.
the thing.
Or for the Bulls.
As a Bulls fan, Nikola Vucevic is a good basketball player.
Yeah, it's just the
with
money.
good basketball talent who was probably the worst trade in recent
Yes.
memory.
Yes,
Be-
but it's not on him though.
It's
Like
not
he's
him.
a great
It's
guy.
just I would really love to have Franz Wagner instead.
Yeah,
I would really
no.
love to still
And
have
Wendell
and still have Wendell.
Carter has been great. for
Yeah,
them.
I mean, it's with Chicago sports, and I think that this might be a theme if I come on the show a couple times.
Yes. Yes.
Through my love of Chicago
We
sports.
were gonna try and have like a Chicago sports deep dive, like something like that. So
And we-
keep
hey,
that in
and
mind for a future
we
week.
very well
Yes,
may.
for sure.
In fact, I'd be willing to say that we will
Yeah,
do that.
Get noted,
As a Chicago sports fan myself, we must do that.
get noted Chicago sportsman Jonah McClure on the show.
No, I think that'd be
we
fun.
have some
Sammy
good names on
Finstein,
that.
Sammy
Send
Finstein.
Vooch to Sacramento, and you'll just have
Yeah.
the
It can be like the
Sacramento
Knicks.
Bulls.
It can be like the Knicks with Derrick Rose
Yeah.
and Joakim Noah and Taj Gibson. So
Taj Gibson still kicking.
Taj Gibson, oh my
Still-
days, that
still
man
kicking it.
has so much hustle, so much hustle. I still remember 2014 first round against the Washington Wizards. The Bulls lost that series 4-1, but Taj Gibson fought until the end. But
Taj Gibson had the game-winning defensive play in Game 82 for the Timberwolves against the Denver Nuggets, in which that was the game that brought us to the playoffs for the first time in 14 years.
hustle play.
That was literally the
What a-
last
You
what
can
a
game.
thank Joe
player.
Smith for
If
that.
the
draft.
Nuggets
What a
won that
player.
game, they would have
You
been the
can thank
8th
Joe
seed.
Smith for
Yeah.
that draft.
Yeah. So I'll
But-
always appreciate Taj.
We love these obscure ballers coming up like a
We
Taj
could go
Gibson.
for
we
hours.
could go up for hours,
all night.
but we do have a set time that we
Yeah.
do somewhat need to fit into. So yeah, super excited to bring the show to you every single Sunday. We'll be here on YouTube. We'll also be on 89.3 FM as well as TuneIn, so you can check
we have,
in.
We have exciting things in the works.
Tons of stuff.
We not only, in addition to the live radio from 7 to 7:30 during the sports block, we are also hoping to get some interviews, like a cut for time, extra time, or like whatever, obscure ballers after dark or something like that. Get some athletes, or we have a ton of ideas in the works, and
Have some
we're excited to get them
connections?
here. Totally,
Connections?
we
Yeah,
totally
yeah,
do.
yeah,
We
Good.
totally do.
And make sure to follow us on Instagram at Obscure Ballers. That's where we'll post for all the shows. We also have some extra content. We've been posting content since the spring,
Yes.
so make sure to check that out. But anyways, I think wonderful first show. Thank you to Mintesinot Sturm for coming on the show with your Minnesota and unexpected Philadelphia deep dives. Those were fantastic. And thank you to Sports Block and Sports Voice producer Pierson Strandquist for all the help with getting the show together and of appearing on the show as well. A true WNUR sicko over here. But yeah,
With
I
that,
think that'll do
Thank
it.
you for
first
having us.
episode
Yeah,
is
thank you
wrapped.
so much.
Thank
Yeah.
you. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm Tomas Moran.
I'm Sid Sivaraman, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see
at
you next
7
week.
p.m. in the OACR.
Yeah, Obscure Ballers. It's finally here.
Yeah.